You didn't come here by accident. Something pulled you to this moment, the same way a storm pulls ships toward the harbor they keep missing. You clicked this because part of you feels it. You are close, close enough to feel the air changing, close enough that the ground beneath you has started to argue back, close enough that the people around you are suddenly confused by your pace, your focus, your absence at familiar rooms and habitual conversations. And that, precisely, is why it hurts right now. There is a pattern the mind runs when you approach a threshold. It feels like fear, like distraction, like 100 small emergencies arriving all at once. The algorithm becomes a carnival. Your inbox turns into a minefield. Your body asks for sugar. Your brain asks for certainty. Your calendar becomes a parade of good excuses. Even the mirror, honest most days, conspires against you, pointing out asymmetries and stories you can't verify, but can almost believe. Friends call with one quick favor. A new opportunity appears that looks like a shortcut, but smells like a detour. This isn't bad luck. It's homeostasis. Every living system fights to maintain its equilibrium. Thermostats do it with temperature. Cells do it with osmotic pressure. Families do it with roles. Minds do it with identity. The moment you threaten the old arrangement, your old temperature, your old role, your old identity, the system does what systems do. It resists. That is why the days before the breakthrough feel like an assault. You are not just changing your schedule. You are attempting a jailbreak from the architecture that held you together, and your inner warden doesn't care that you've built a better prison. It only cares that the bars are moving. Hermann Hesse understood this before neuroscience had a name for it. In Demian, he wrote of the bird that must fight its way out of the egg. How to be born is to destroy a world. People quote the line because it sounds beautiful. They forget it is also a warning. The world you must destroy is not just outside you. It is the world you built within. The rituals that kept you safe. The stories that made you tolerable to yourself. The masks that helped you survive conversations where your truth was too expensive to speak. In other words, just before you win, something old in you must die. Let's call that something your false ending. The story you tell yourself about who you are when no one is watching. The false ending is neat and comforting. It's the version of you that stops at 90% with a flourish and says, "This is good enough. Everyone will understand." It's the version that chooses admiration over accuracy, applause over alignment, speed over substance. It is a perfectly reasonable story, reasonable and ruinous, because the last 10%, the final corridor before the light bends, is where the mind's last trap hides. Here is what it whispers. You don't have to become someone else to cross. Just hurry. Just imitate. Just add a little louder music, a little brighter color, a little more of what worked for someone else. Just blend in on your way out. But exits don't accept counterfeits. Hesse's Siddhartha does not find the truth by copying mentors. He finds it when the river itself becomes his teacher, when he learns to listen instead of hunt, to move instead of force, to become water instead of carrying it. I can think, I can wait, I can fast, he says at one point. This is not a productivity hack. It is an interior economy. It means I can hold my desire without demanding it become something right now. I can refuse to spend my soul to buy a moment's relief. I can wait until my actions are expensive enough to be honest. What does this mean for you? Here, on the edge of the thing you almost don't want to admit you want. It means the chaos you're experiencing is not a sign you are failing. It is a sign you are disobeying your old gravity. Your mind, detecting that you are about to leave the orbit of the familiar, is firing every thruster it has. Fear, doubt, hunger, urgency, nostalgia, to keep you circling the same planet. Psychologists might call it prediction error. When your brain's expectation of who you are collides with the data of who you are becoming, it's uncomfortable because your nervous system finds familiarity safer than accuracy. Better the pain we can anticipate than the joy we cannot control. Better the mediocre identity we can maintain than the magnificent one we must continually earn. This is why people self-sabotage right before the finish line. Not because they are weak, but because they are faithful to their previous definition of self. The marathoner who pulls a hamstring at mile 23. The top student who forgets the exam date. The entrepreneur who picks a fight the night before the pitch. These aren't coincidences. These are rituals of loyalty. Last-minute ceremonies to prove to the old tribe, inner or outer, that you still belong to yesterday. You do not, and that is heartbreaking. No one tells you that part. To cross a threshold is to confront grief, not just grief for the person you were, but grief for the shared myths that bound you to others, the jokes you won't laugh at anymore, the rooms you'll leave before they finish the story, the slow drift of friendships that refuse the altitude you are willing to climb. People will accuse you of being different. They will be right. Hesse called it loneliness, but he never meant isolation. He meant independence. He meant the kind of solitude where you are finally accompanied by your own soul. If you are about to win, here's how you will know. Your distractions now arrive disguised as responsibilities, and your responsibilities now feel like interruptions. Your body wants to sleep when it used to want to scroll. You start to confuse excitement with fear because both make your hands shake. You find yourself cleaning things you never noticed, organizing invisible shelves, negotiating with the hour like a politician. You are doing this because your mind would rather tidy your past than enter your future. Recognize the impulse, then bless it, then keep going. Because the last trap isn't a monster at the gate, it's a conversation. It's the quiet decision to accept a smaller life in exchange for immediate relief. It is the offer to be loved for your potential forever, rather than respected for your courage once. It is seductive, and it is everywhere. Advertised daily with inspirational slogans that reward effort without progress, engagement without direction, performance without purpose. Stop bargaining. Start crossing. You will need a different kind of attention to do this. Not the frantic attention of crisis, where the world is a siren. Not the sugary attention of novelty, where the world is a parade. But the river tension Hesse writes of, the kind that listens long enough to notice that 10,000 movements share one current, the kind that can hear the difference between almost and arriving. Let me tell you a story. A young violinist once practiced in an attic where the rain hammered the roof like impatient applause. She was good enough for compliments, good enough for local stages. Her teacher would nod and say, almost. After the 10th almost, she quit in her head. The next day, she arrived late, angry, and ready to be told she was not exceptional. The teacher surprised her. He asked her to play just one note. Then he told her to make that one note sound like rain becoming a river. She tried. It sounded like a violin. He shook his head. She tried again and again. She became frustrated, then embarrassed, then quiet. Somewhere around the 30th attempt, something shifted. Her hands, tired of her mind, found the tone. The room changed shape. The teacher closed his eyes. Now, he said, play the piece. She did. The rain in the attic slowed. The river arrived. The difference wasn't technique. It was attention. She stopped performing to be praised and started listening to be true. The piece had been inside her the entire time. It needed a different kind of hearing to come out. If you are about to win, this is your work. Tune your attention until the next action becomes inevitable. Not heroic, not dramatic, inevitable. The movie in your head will prefer a montage. It will ask for a dramatic confession, a sudden transformation. Resist that. Crossings rarely look cinematic. They look like deleting one app, like sending one email, like saying no without an apology, like writing the next paragraph and refusing the impulsive victory lap of posting about it. And yes, there will be voices, inner and outer, that label your restraint as fear. Understand how projection works. People who are married to their distractions will call your fidelity to your craft obsession. People who are committed to their comfort will call your willingness to adapt inconsistency. People who have built their identities on being needed will call your boundaries selfish. Bless them. They are narrating their own resistance in your direction. Keep going. Hesse's characters often discover that the world they are chasing is already present, quietly, when they are ready to see it. In Narcissus and Goldmund, the two friends embody a tension between the contemplative life and the life of the senses. The breakthrough isn't one conquering the other. It is the recognition that each is incomplete without the other's gaze. Similarly, your crossing will not be a rejection of who you have been, but the integration of a larger truth about who you are. The artist needs discipline. The analyst needs wonder. The athlete needs stillness. The monk needs movement. You're not abandoning your past selves. You are employing them. So how do you move through this last trap without letting it turn your soul into a compromise? First, tell the truth about what you want, not the polite version. The version that would embarrass you in certain rooms. The version that would force you to change your mornings. Write it by hand. Truth suffers in a typed font. It hardens in ink. Second, name the threshold. Give it a real title. Draft finished. First client signed, 6 months sober, thesis defended, channel launched, debt cleared, tour booked. The mind respects doors when you label them. Vague desires give it too many exits. Third, choose a ritual that belongs to the person on the other side. One thing, small, visible, and repeated. Morning pages, a single paragraph shared with your closest friend at the same time every day. A mile walked before sunrise. 10 minutes of scales, a daily call to the investor you're afraid to lose. Ritual is identity rehearsed until it stops feeling like acting. Fourth, defend the hour before you cross. In that last mile, the invitations will multiply. Decline without stories. A short no, I'm not available, will save you 100 hours of diplomacy. Finally, accept the cost. Every win taxes the old kingdom. When you cross, something will end. Let it. The life you want is built from the lives you release. Now let's talk about an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the feeling that you are about to win is your intuition trying to bribe you back into the familiar. The mind loves near misses. They let you experience the cocktail of purpose without the accountability of achievement. This is the purgatory of almost. We chase the high of effort and postpone the responsibility of arrival. If you find yourself addicted to being on the verge, ask, what in me would have to grow up if I actually won? Another twist. Quitting can be the win. Not quitting the threshold, quitting the performance built for the wrong door. Imagine a runner devoting years to sprinting because applause arrives faster in sprints. But every cell in their body is built for the 10,000 meters. Their near wins will feel like failure because they are aimed at the wrong finish line. Hesse's characters wander because the map others draw for them is magnificent and false. There is courage in changing races, the kind of courage that looks like defeat to people who only measure speed. To know the difference between sabotage and sacred exit. Do the river test. When you sit in stillness and imagine crossing, does your body release into gratitude or tense into performance? Gratitude signals alignment. Performance signals desire for permission. The body rarely lies. It will tell you if the door is yours. If the door is yours, stand up now. Yes, now, and make the next movement. Not after this video. Not after the inspiration settles into long-term memory, where ideas go to die of natural causes. Now, open the dock. Send the message. Close the tab. Put the shoes on, put the bottle down, book the room, ask the question, start the timer. The mind's last trap is always delay disguised as respectability. Tomorrow is PR for fear. And please hear this, winning is not the weather that arrives when you have suffered correctly. It is the craft you practice in the world you have. Hesse did not sprint toward enlightenment. He listened it into the pages, one sentence at a time, while attending to the ordinary beauty of rivers and gardens and the difficult mercy of friendship. The life you are chasing is not hiding in a more dramatic continent. It is assembling itself out of the choices you dignify today. There will be days you cannot trust your mind. On those days, trust your feet, walk the ritual, show up badly. That is not failure, that is fidelity. The river does not ask the mountain for permission to keep flowing on the days the mountain is a little cruel, so neither should you. If you need a prophecy, here it is. The moment you stop entertaining alternatives that do not honor your soul, the world will call you stubborn, then lucky, then inevitable. Let them adjust to the weather. You adjust to the work. I want to speak to the part of you that believes it is too late. That part grew up reading time like an enemy. It keeps a ledger of missed chances and calls it realism. Hesse would tell you that time is not a line chasing you. It is a circle inviting you. What you did not honor yesterday can still be honored today. The door remains until you walk through it, or build a house where you stand, and call the door a myth. Be kind to yourself, then be strict. Kindness without strictness is indulgence. Strictness without kindness is cruelty. Together, they become a path. Maybe the mind's last trap is simpler than we think. It is the belief that crossing will make you a different kind of human, when in truth, crossing will simply make you more honest about the one you already are. The river does not become an ocean by acquiring new water. It becomes an ocean by refusing to stop. So here is your scene, as clear as I can give it. Tonight, you will be tempted to celebrate prematurely, by announcing, by scrolling, by ordering comfort dressed in achievement's clothing. Drink some water, step outside, look up. Tell the night your threshold's real name, then return to the desk, the field, the studio, the quiet room where the work is waiting. Do the next necessary thing, Not the impressive thing, the necessary one. Let the small act be the king today. Tomorrow morning, wake before your first doubt. Touch your ritual. Move one grain of sand from your old world to the new. You will not notice anything dramatic at first. Then, one afternoon, while washing dishes or hearing your name in a different tone, you will realize something. The resistance has become a guide. It shows up not to stop you but to point. Here, the living edge is here. And when the voice asks once more, are you sure? Answer with your feet. You didn't come here by accident. You have not stayed out of inertia. You are nearer than you think. The storm has been trying to scare you back to a harbor you outgrew. Let it rage. Boats are not built to worship docks. Win, then, quietly, like rain becoming river, audaciously, like a bird deciding the egg is not a home but a memory, patiently, like a truth that no longer needs your permission to be true. And when you cross, do not slam the door. Leave it ajar. Someone you used to be is still behind you, listening for proof that a larger life exists. Here is your proof. The threshold is real, and you are already crossing. And when you arrive, because you will, remember Hesse's quiet lesson. The self is not a destination, but a conversation. Keep listening, keep learning, keep becoming. The river that brought you here is not finished with you. It never is. Now go. Do the next necessary thing, then the next, then the next. Let the world call it victory, or stubbornness, or luck. You call it your life, and live it.